while we're waiting for Vivian to come in, I'm going to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the shows. And if you like what you're seeing here in this or any other video that we do here on this little channel, smash that thumbs up button, like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that good stuff. In fact, if you're here right now, watching live, hit that thumbs up button right now. It's going to help the show get out to more people on whatever platform you're on, whether it be YouTube, Rumble, X. Let's get that going. I see some people in the chat right now. Who are you beefing with, Galloway? Oh, it's Rick. It's our friend.
It's Rick.
Shout out to our KLRN people.
And by the way, don't follow me. I'm paranoid enough. I say this every week.
All right. Well, listen, pal. Our guest is here, so I'm going to take down the banners. Let's get started talking about our first topic of the day here, which is this criminal referral that House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer gave to DOJ and Pam Bondi. And here's our guest right now. This is my good friend, Vivian Zayas from Voices for Seniors. Vivian.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Always a pleasure to see you. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. Thank you for the invite.
Oh, listen, it was certainly my pleasure to do so. Before we get started, though, I have to give a disclaimer to the whole audience here, just to kind of cover my ass a little bit. I am not going to be fair and balanced in this discussion. I have a definite point of view here. And my definite point of view is, Vivian Earmuffs, fuck Andrew Cuomo. Okay, that is my point of view here. I'm not going to be shy about it. I'm not going to be bashful about it as we talk about this latest news about this disgraced governor who now wants to be mayor of the People's Republic of New York City, and who, in my opinion, is responsible for the deaths of many people, including friends of mine like Vivian.
Everybody got that?
Vivian, give everybody a brief background on how you came to be in this position that clearly I don't think anybody ever wants to ever be in.
Very true. I'm an accidental activist. My mother was receiving care actually at home. She received a knee surgery and she was with me for a couple of months getting therapy at home. And she developed a cyst in her thigh that I thought was a little larger than would be normal. So we took her to the hospital and they did what they had to do. They drained it, gave her some antibiotics, and they suggested that because my mom was still wobbly after her knee surgery, that she would benefit from some inpatient nursing home care or rehab care. And we reluctantly agreed after we did supposedly our due diligence. And she ended up in the nursing home, which what we thought was going to be for 30 days. In fact, when she was transferred, they had already started talking about discharge, about a week into her stay. So we never imagined that she would be there, months or, years. It was only a very short time. We saw that her pain was getting better. So we thought we were doing right by her. These facilities tend to have like a mirage. They actually have huge banners sometimes in the lobby that says they're the best on Long Island and best by, US reports. And so you get a false sense of security thinking that these facilities are safe.
It sounds a lot like the realtors with the Triple Diamond Award on their wall and things like that, right?
Perhaps. We never thought she'd be there for more than a couple of weeks anyway, so we were not concerned. I think it was only when COVID started to become more prevalent did we start to get a little worried, but we were there every day. My sister and I took turns. We were there. I was there earlier in the evening and she got there later in the evening. So there was no way of my mother being one of a statistic in any way. So it was only until March 11th that we get a call that says that the nursing home is going to shut down. Once we got that call, we were only told, you can come and see your mother today. The facility is going to be closed for about a week or two. And we went, immediately, I headed out there. I got her newspapers and puzzles, snacks, and I just told her, please watch the news. I gave her a kiss thinking that I was obviously going to see her in a week or two, but I gave her a kiss and she was sad. She looked down at the floor as I left. And, that's my last memory of my mother.
That killed me. So, and what ended up happening, for those of you out there, is that Vivian's mom was one of the more than 15,000 seniors who passed due to COVID while trapped in these nursing homes, thanks to the March 25th, 2020 order from the Department of Health that was authored by, in part at least, by Andrew Cuomo.
That
So
is correct.
now this led you to become an advocate for not only your family, but for every family affected by this in New York, and to bring awareness to what Andrew Cuomo did. The news starts breaking all throughout 2020, going into 2021, and eventually Cuomo resigns because, in addition to all this, there was an impending, let's just call it an abuse scandal in his office of sort of an interpersonal nature. And honestly, I thought that Cuomo would be done at that point. Were you thinking the same thing?
Yes, we're actually very surprised he's running for office again. We initially had hoped that he would have stepped down, not because of the allegations. We actually hoped that he would have stepped down because of he had a hand in the deaths of so many of the vulnerable elderly. But he's trying to make a comeback, and we're still trying to tell people and alert people that of what happened, that this was, during 9/11, over 3,300 plus people died, because I know some people died of the after effects of 9/11, one of my cousins included. And we never, we got a commission, we got an investigation, and with over 15,000 plus seniors died, and we have no such thing here in New York.
Yeah, and I agree with Daisy's comment here. I can't believe that he's running for anything either. It's the ultimate audacity is what it is, that Andrew Cuomo has decided that he can run for office again after all the pain that he caused.
Well, he's a narcissist, so I think this is up his alley.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't remember, everything that happened in between of the lockdowns and present day, this is a guy who got a multi-million-dollar book contract talking about his great leadership during COVID. This is a guy who created a poster in his spare time during COVID to represent the struggle to flatten the curve. This is a man who fudged the numbers when it came to reporting COVID passings to the federal government. Yeah, Rick, I agree. He shouldn't be eligible for dog catcher. Absolutely right. And now he has the audacity to come back for this. I want to get to the video that I have here. This is from Fox 5 News here in the People's Republic of New York City that broke about James Comer, the chair of the House Oversight Committee, reissuing his referral on behalf of the committee against Andrew Cuomo, alleging perjury during his testimony before Congress. And Vivian, I'm going to ask you about that testimony because you were there, right?
Yes, I was.
All right, let's get to the footage right now.
Cuomo is leading the mayor's race by double digits, but now some are saying he's in the same position that Mayor Eric Adams was in with the Trump administration. The House Oversight Committee has resent a criminal referral to the new Attorney General Pam Bondi, saying that Cuomo lied to Congress 3 times about his efforts to undercount COVID-related nursing home deaths. Chairman of the House Oversight Committee, James Comer, said in part, quote, Andrew Cuomo is a man with a history of corruption and deceit. This wasn't a slip up. It was a calculated cover up by a man seeking to shield himself from responsibility for the devastating loss of life in New York's nursing homes. Now, this all started on March 25th, 2020. Cuomo issued an executive order that forced nursing homes to accept COVID positive patients back into their facilities.
And one fact that's left out of this, Vivian, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that part of that order was a prohibition of testing anyone being returned to a nursing home. Am I correct in saying that?
That is correct.
So Ross, I know that you're hearing a lot of this for the first time here. It wasn't just that nursing homes were required or directed to re-intake people who were recently infected with COVID. Remember, at the time, there was no vaccine or anything like that. There was no treatment other than letting it work itself out. Not only were they told to take these people back in, and they were citing shortages of beds when you had the Jacob Javits Center and you had USS Comfort here as well, but to take them back without testing, sight unseen, basically, pal.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not hearing any of this for the first time. I lived through COVID too. I lived in New York City while this was going on. And to be honest, Vivian, like my heart goes out to you. I don't know what I was losing my mind during COVID. I don't know what I would have done if I had a family member in a similar situation. I mean, Andrew Cuomo is obviously a piece of trash. Additionally, like he's the author of No Cash Bail, right? He signed that into law too, so that should also disqualify him from being the mayor of New York City. I do have a question. So, Kathy Hochul, the current governor of the state of New York, a lot of people forget that she was actually his lieutenant governor while all of this was going on.
That's
and
correct.
I guess this is really a question for both of you. I mean, she lost to Lee Zeldin. I don't know how New York allowed that to happen, but is Kathy Hochul implicated in any of these decisions that Andrew Cuomo made?
Kathy Hochul is implicated in the sense that when the select subcommittee subpoenaed documents from her office, she gave them a lot of fluff, but didn't give them a lot of things of substance. And what she did was send a whole bunch of redacted forms of what she did send, and then actually didn't send other items. So there is more there that I wish the select subcommittee would have gotten, but I believe that in some weird way, she is covering him because it actually implicates her.
And I wonder if she was acting on the advice of counsel, aka Letitia James,
True.
by pulling some of that information.
I wouldn't put it past them.
I think it's a dynamite point. But let's talk about the select committee in the House that oversaw the COVID pandemic. You and your organization worked really closely with putting together these hearings. Can you talk about that a little bit, Vivian?
We actually submitted a very detailed report to the select subcommittee with a list of who they should subpoena. And that is what they used when they were looking for who to speak to. We came to testify twice. Once we testified once and before the select subcommittee when they started their investigation. Then we came back the day that Cuomo testified, and we sat like a few steps from him, which is so difficult to be in the same room with him, hearing his lies, hearing his smugness, hearing him, just deflect. And we didn't expect anything other than who Andrew Cuomo is, to be quite honest. But it's, going back to what we were saying, Andrew Cuomo is the same one that said in a press conference of the many he did that his mother was not expendable and my mother was not expendable. But then he turned around and signed the death wish of so many seniors. In addition to all the other things he did, I'm certain that he received some kind of money or donation towards his campaign from the lobbyists in exchange for the clauses that they put into the budget, which is basically giving nursing homes immunity. In addition to everything else he did, he gave them immunity. So when my mother passed away, and I'm trying to figure out, what's my recourse in this situation, when I got a letter from the nursing home saying that she would be safe, so I couldn't sue the nursing home. So not only did he put COVID positive patients into the nursing homes that were not tested, he also tied the families up from not being able to sue.
Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show.
And John, you kind of glazed over something that you said earlier, but I just want to put a little finer point on it. The USS Comfort was parked off of Manhattan Island for quite a while, and the Javits Center was cleared out and set up as a massive quarantine center by the National Guard. And those two things went largely unused. And instead of using those, where in a typical pandemic, you want to quarantine sick people, they instead did not use those facilities and put sick people back into nursing homes. And Andrew Cuomo directly, he let people die. He didn't let them, he made people die alone without seeing their families. And it's unforgivable. Vivian, you're doing God's work, and this guy can never be entrusted to be empowered at any level of government again.
Absolutely right. I do want to get back to the clip really quick here because we do have a reaction from Andrew Cuomo. Keep in mind, folks, this is the same man that on his quote-unquote rehabilitation tour last year, what I like to call it, when he went on the radio with Anthony Scaramucci, another winner, called people like Vivian vile for asking and demanding accountability for his actions here. And his reaction to this repeated referral now to the DOJ, first time it was to, Merrick Garland's DOJ. Now it's to Pam Bondi's DOJ. His reaction, though, was very nonplussed, as you would expect from an irredeemable buffoon like Andrew Cuomo.
Later revoked this order on May 10th, but by then he was already facing fierce backlash. So in July of 2020, the state health department issued a report clearing Cuomo of blame. This report not only continued to undercount the number of COVID-related nursing home deaths by more than 50%, it also blamed nursing home staff for bringing in the virus. Fast forward to last summer, Cuomo in front of the House committee said that he did not have any role in writing this July 2020 report. However, the committee alleges that not only was Cuomo involved, he helped write the report as shown in notes that have been verified as his handwriting.
By the way, that really undersells it. Not only was there physical evidence, and Vivian, you can attest to this more than I can, there's sworn testimony from his former commissioner of health that directly contradicts Andrew Cuomo, with specific recollections that Cuomo was involved intimately with this March 2020 order. You can tell me if I'm off base in saying that or not, Vivian, but that's my recollection.
He was, and when you want to look at who's responsible, we hold Cuomo responsible, obviously as the governor, but it was malpractice for even Howard Zucker, the commissioner, the health commissioner, to even have come up with such a report. So I'm not sure, when we want to throw the net, yes, we want to catch Cuomo and we want to hold him accountable, but there's so many other people that are accountable. Like, Howard Zucker is the second person that we would put our target on, because I'm thinking, how could he, as a doctor, as a physician, do such a thing to the elderly? And then if we want to broaden the net, like nursing homes, they did a terrible job. They're terrible places on a normal day. Yet there's so many facilities, including my mother's, that these were rehab facilities, wings, and they were not even quarantining the patients. So I have no idea how deep this goes, because all the Democrats in New York are very complicit. They have not wanted to give us an investigation. They have not wanted to open anything with subpoena power. We have reached out, and back then we reached out to the chair of the health of the seniors, the aging committee chair, sorry. And basically when we met her in Albany, she was surprised when we approached her. And when we asked her for her to support a bill that was investigating with subpoena power, a bipartisan bill, she basically told me she was not going to support the bill. So we took a photo with her, and I told her, let's take a photo. And she says, I'll take a picture, but I will not sign that bill. And I said, well, at least I have proof that I spoke to you about it. And just as her word, she did not support it, and all the Democrats either. So, I don't think they want to get down to really the truth of what happened, because it would implicate them and make their party look terrible.
Well, Ross and I can certainly war game this out for you and probably explain without them explaining what happened. And I'm sure you know this already, but for the purpose of enlightening our audience. Hey, Ross, you remember when Cuomo resigned in 2021?
Yeah.
Do you remember there being meetings between Cuomo and different legislators and the Attorney General's office?
Yes.
Do you think that there was a deal that the government would not do any further investigations into Cuomo if he were to resign voluntarily?
And that's usually the penalty, right? I think that's what the DOJ was even offering Eric Adams in his latest scandal. Typically, when you're a politician, if you resign in disgrace, then you can avoid, a criminal referral or prosecution. But like you said earlier, that deal was under the Biden DOJ and not the current one, thank God. And just, now I'm getting worked up. I think Daisy Bell says she has PTSD thinking of this, and so do I.
Yeah, I wanted to get this out there. It's been hitting. It was in the chat for a while.
Yeah,
our friend Daisy.
I'm reliving this nightmare again too now. This guy was literally on TV every day giving briefings in his audition to run for president one day.
He got a fucking Emmy, Galloway.
In his crazy brain, he still thinks he's going to do it, by the way. And you remember his famous line every day was well, the facts change. Do facts change? First of all, facts are usually things that don't change, right? Is the world round? Is that a fact? That's not going to change one day, right? So I hate when he said that. But let's talk about facts real quick. Who were the people most at risk of dying from COVID? The elderly. If you were extremely overweight, or had other comorbidities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people in nursing homes would have at least 2 of those 3 things, if not all 3. And this fool forced them to go in there. They didn't separate them. They didn't quarantine them, and then didn't even allow healthy family members to go visit them. It's astonishing when you think
about it. And it was
it.
all done in total violation of CDC guidelines, as per the subcommittee report that was published through the House Oversight Committee, that Vivian and her organization, Voices for Seniors, had a very strong part in helping come together. Let's get back to Cuomo's. I promise Cuomo's reaction is coming here.
A spokesperson for Cuomo issued a statement saying, quote, "This is nothing more than a meritless press release that was nonsense last year and is even more so now. As the DOJ constantly reminds people, this kind of transparent attempt at election interference and lawfare violates their own policies." But Bill Hammond with the Empire Center, who has been following this issue closely since the start of the pandemic, disagrees.
But it was pretty well understood that he had been involved in editing that report. He certainly was aware that it was being produced and had a hand in it. The governor's really dug in on his denials of any wrongdoing in connection with his nursing home policies.
And there's the report. Vivian, if you were able to get a hold of Pam Bondi right now, what would you want her to know about this entire situation with Cuomo?
Well, first of all, the civil rights of the seniors were violated. They were locked in nursing homes, which in that setting is their home. It's their house, their domicile, because they are either there for short-term care or long-term care. So one of their rights is basically that you would not bring harm to them. So what they did was open the door to a deadly virus to people, to their home. So I would love her to not only investigate, obviously the select subcommittee did an amazing job, but I think that there's more information that they're covering. Hochul would not have redacted information and withheld documents if there wasn't anything to hide. So if they can basically expand on that investigation, if they can basically, we forget that Rachel Levine in Pennsylvania took out her mother out of a nursing home and then put other nursing home residents with these deadly viruses. So this was not just in New York, although it was more egregious in New York, but there's other states that did similar things following Cuomo, who was being highly praised at the time. So what we want is an expansion of the New York State investigation. And if possible, we want him held accountable. Many would love to see him in an orange jumpsuit. And I actually want the truth. If we can get both, that would make us extremely happy. So him behind bars and also having the truth so that we can prevent this from happening again. And that's how we honor our parents, our moms and our dads and our grandparents who were there getting treatment or who lived there for whatever physical ailment they were enduring. We need the truth. And that's how we can basically honor our parents. And that's how we get closure. We're 5 years in and we still don't have a sense of closure because we don't have all the answers.
It's absolutely astounding. It's also, Galloway, the only issue I've ever seen in the People's Republic of New York City that united candidates for mayor from the Republican and Democrat side all at one rally that Vivian and other families were involved in organizing in Clinton Hill in Brooklyn. We did a video on it recently, and my feeling is when it comes to Andrew Cuomo, I think Rick Robinson said it well with the comment: man isn't qualified to be dog catcher. He has zero empathy. He is a political animal. He's complicit in all these actions that led to the passing of these seniors, and for voters in New York City to have such a short memory, the city that tells everyone to never forget, to forget what happened is absolutely egregious. There's no word yet in the English language to describe that, Ross.
And Gene, I'm glad you mentioned like the rallies and stuff, because the next question I really have for Vivian is, first of all, I didn't suffer nearly as much as you have throughout this thing, but I still want vengeance. So my question to you is what's next? What can people do? Because obviously we don't want Cuomo in power. I don't even live there anymore, but I don't think he should be controlling anything. right? But what can we do? What can the people listening do to actually help your cause?
Well, lucky you for not being in New York. But if they could follow us on social media and help project our voice, sharing our posts, sharing our comments, because the louder we get, I named the group Voices for Seniors because when we were trying to figure out what was going on, it was like, I want to be a voice for them. They're no longer here. So the only way that we can become and amplify our voices if we can share our content. Visit our group if you want and check out our website, voicesforseniors.com. But also we're on X, we're on Facebook. So anywhere you see us, just share our stuff. That would be a tremendous help. The louder we get, we cannot be ignored. And I think all along they banked on these are elderly people. Their family probably we're expecting them soon to pass away, depending on the age or the ailment. So no one's going to make a lot of noise. So the louder we get, the better our outcome to get Pam Bondi to go ahead with this referral. If we can get some kind of a commission here in New York State, that's something that we're working on as well. But if we can get, if we can address the civil rights of the seniors in some type of way, that would also be ideal. So, we forget, as young as we are here right now, that one day we may not be as young. And that's inevitable. We don't control that. My mother was the strong as an ox. Her memory was better than mine. And all it took was an aggressive arthritis to set her down this path. So we often are blessed by our health, but we don't know what tomorrow brings. So how do we prevent this from happening to you or me in the future if we end up getting short-term therapy? A knee surgery ended up not causing my mom's death because of the knee surgery. It ended up because she was getting short-term therapy at a facility. So and once you're in there, it's kind of hard to get you out. I was clamoring for weeks to get her out of the facility. When I finally got a call, they were very elusive and they said, "Oh, your mother's leaving on Friday." And by that time she had already contracted COVID. And I had heard it in her voice that she wasn't well. However, I was not told it was COVID. I didn't know COVID was in the facility. I was not told. So this is like a very broad web that if we want to dissect it, we have to figure out Cuomo's at the head, but there's other things and issues we really have to address. And unfortunately, like Jean was saying, the lobbyists here are very powerful. And I was told in the beginning, after losing my mom, when I was fighting in the beginning, they were saying, "You're pissing in the wind." And I'm thinking, like, what kind of support or encouragement is that to a grieving daughter? And we've been fighting ever since. We haven't given up. And I think that as we see, James Comer come out and not forget us and try to have this thing move forward. We've written to everyone under the sun. So we're just glad to not be forgotten. We just hope that Pam Bondi does the right thing.
If you like that clip from our new show, Behind Enemy Lines, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other shows, and tune in live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.